It's Man United, Chelsea, Villa and Brentford in their last games of the season, Peter. What do you think of their Champions League chances?
Yeah, chance, of course. But I look at Villa's games there. I thought they might potentially drop out and Liverpool could maybe take their place. But, they're winnable games there for Aston Villa as well. So I'm slightly less hopeful, certainly, after I thought today was a real big game for them to win, and unfortunately they haven't really managed to do it. Villa go and get a result, then they are struggling for that top four now. Look at Villa's games there. I thought they might potentially drop out and Liverpool could maybe take their place, but they're winnable games there for Aston Villa as well. So I'm slightly less hopeful, certainly, after I thought today was a real big game for them to win, and unfortunately they haven't really managed to do it. Villa go and get a result, then they are struggling for that top four now.
A big step backwards for Liverpool today, who have lost 2-1 here at the Amex to Brighton. Let's get the thoughts of Arne with Jules.
Arne, how do you sum that up from a Liverpool perspective?
First half was an equal game. Of course, it was a big blow for us that one of the two strikers that we have available with Hugo and Alex was already not here, and then the other one has to go off after 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, that's usually not helpful, especially not if you look at how well Hugo played Wednesday. But the first half, I think, was an equal game. In the second half, Brighton was the better team on the pitch.
You mentioned Ekitike going off, which must have changed things a lot for you. It looked like it was a dead leg, but he looked quite visibly upset when he came off. Is it worse than initially expected, or are you not sure yet?
No, I think the players, the fans, we all know that there's only 8 games to go. Was the better team on the pitch.
You mentioned Ekitike going off, which must have changed things a lot for you. It looked like it was a dead leg, but he looked quite visibly upset when he came off. Is it worse than initially expected, or are you not sure yet?
No, I think the players, the fans, we all know that there's only 8 games to go to qualify for Champions League, and then every game that you have to miss is something you're upset about, and I think him having to go off after 1 or 2 minutes, not being able to help the team anymore with something that is, it's just a bit of bad luck, because it's not like he's out for 3 months. At least that's not what I assume. But it's bad enough not to be able to continue, and that's a big blow for him, and was in the end also a blow for us.
It does mean it's Liverpool's 10th league defeat of the season, which is the first time that's happened in the Premier League for 10 years now. Is it that lack of consistency once again after the Champions League, not being able to follow it up with another victory?
No, it's clear that we've lost a lot of points after playing in Europe. I've tried to explain already a lot of times why this is. But today we also have to give credits to.
Once again after the Champions League, not being able to follow it up with another victory.
No, it's clear that we've lost a lot of points after playing in Europe. I've tried to explain already a lot of times why this is. But today we also have to give credits to Brighton, because I think in the second half they were, as I earlier said, the better team on the pitch.
You said before the match that in terms of qualification for the Champions League next season, you might not need to win all of the remaining league games, but with now 7 left to go, does it feel like they're running out?
Yeah, but that's also what I already meant before the game. What I thought was that you don't need to have 24 points to qualify. And hopefully I'm right, because we're not able to get 24 points out of the 8 games anymore. So, but we did understand, and I do know it, and that's what I also said, and I did knew, that it was a final. And I think we kept trying. We were in the second half, we were 2 or 3 times close, but as I said, they were closer to scoring the third one than we scoring the second one. But the players kept trying, kept fighting, and unfortunately it wasn't enough after. And I think we kept trying. We were in the second half, we were 2 or 3 times close, but as I said, they were closer to scoring the third one than we scoring the second one. But the players kept trying, kept fighting, and unfortunately it wasn't enough after a week like this.
So international break next. How much pressure is there on you when you return after that to end the season on a high?
Yeah, but there's always pressure at Liverpool. On me, on the players, that's completely normal. We've qualified for the quarterfinals of the FA Cup and for the Champions League, and in the league we need to make sure that in the end we qualify for Champions League. But we, as much as I dislike us losing here today, I think Brighton away has always been a difficult one, and it will always be a difficult one as long as they keep bringing so many good players in over here. But there are other games where we should have picked up our points, and where we, like last week, being 1-0 up in the 90th minute against Tottenham. That is far more unacceptable than this. Although even away at Brighton, a club like Liverpool should be able to get a result. Games where we should have picked up our points, and where we, like last week, being 1-0 up in the 90th minute against Tottenham. That is far more unacceptable than this. Although even away at Brighton, a club like Liverpool should be able to get a result.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Arne Slot's side have won just 4 of the 10 matches that they've played after Champions League football this season, Stephen. They're just really struggling with those multiple games, aren't they? And Arne Slot very fair again in his assessment, did you feel?
Yeah, because at Champions League level, you have to be all in. You have to play at a certain level of intensity and speed, and you'd have to run even harder than you probably do at Premier League level. And if you've got a couple of injuries or your squad's got some imbalances, you'll be caught out in the Premier League, especially in this day and age, because every team's improved and every game is difficult, especially away from home, when you've got limited time to recover and prepare, and you've got to travel. Then you lose 2 players day before the game, you lose a striker after 5 minutes. All these things go against you. And if you've got a couple of injuries or your squad's got some imbalances, you'll be caught out in the Premier League, especially in this day and age, because every team's improved and every game is difficult, especially away from home, when you've got limited time to recover and prepare, and you've got to travel. Then you lose 2 players day before the game, you lose a striker after 5 minutes. All these things go against you. And you've got a Brighton team who've prepared all week, they're full of energy, they're raring to go. That's when you get caught out, and it's happened too many times to Liverpool, because they haven't got the squad, which is a strange thing to say after the investment. They haven't got the squad at the moment to cope with the games after the Champions League. They
were outrun again today by Brighton, so 27 times out of the 31 games in the Premier League, Peter. Is that justifiable by the fact they've played in the Champions League or not? Is that not an excuse?
No, I don't think it can be, just because, Liverpool's, they're going to be playing the Champions League. The club's had rich history in European football. That's just part and parcel of it. You have to play 2 games a week. You know that. I know it's difficult, and you have injuries, but that's why you have the squad. It's difficult. I mean, we've been there, and you play on a Wednesday night, and then got to come here and play first thing on a Saturday. It's a difficult thing to do, but it's something that a club like Liverpool has notoriously had to do and will do in the future, and it's something you've got to cope with.
Arne Slot's now got a stew on this over the international break. What would you say is the top thing that he's got to fix?
Night, and then got to come here and play first thing on a Saturday. It's a difficult thing to do, but it's something that a club like Liverpool has notoriously had to do and will do in the future, and it's something you've got to cope with.
Arne Slot's now got a stew on this over the international break. What would you say is the top thing that he's got to fix?
So have I. I've got a stew on it. Listen, I think his first priority will be hoping that all his players and international players come back fit and available, because the Man City game now in the FA Cup becomes even more important, if you like. They've got to try and progress in that competition. Then you've got PSV that's going to smack them in the face.
Yeah. So, and Everton as well to come.
Well, look, get bodies back fit, i.e. Ekitike, and some other injuries that they've got. Try and get Salah back and the goalkeeper, and try and get as many as your good players available for your next game. That's the only thing you can focus on now.
Well, we're going to let you very shortly go and stew on this one. Brighton are going to head off into the spring sunshine after that victory. Before we go, though, let me tell you about
the first goal, and he scored a second goal, and that means he's had his best goal-scoring season. He'll look back at this particular match with fond memories.
He will indeed, yeah. I mean, did he do a lot other than goals? Probably not, but that's what you want your number 9 to do, is be Johnny on the spot, and when it comes to it, put the ball in the back of the net. And we tell you, Van Dijk and Kanate a long way in between them. Szoboszlai can get tight. Frimpong did well with that coming in the first half. Doesn't get tight there and then allows that ball in. Gravenberch, when you've dropped him as centre-half, the very least you've got to do is get goal side of that centre-forward, and he doesn't do any of it. And you see when we just highlighted him there, hands on head, he knows he's made a mistake. And listen,
onside for you?
Well, technology says yes, so I suppose we've got to agree with it. I mean, from the angle, it looked very debatable, in all honesty, and if I had to give it by the eye from the still that we saw, I didn't think it was. But we rely on the technology these days. It was given, and it was a big goal, not only for Danny Welbeck, but for Brighton's season.
OK, so as you've just seen, Welbeck's 12th goal of the season, his best for 10. It means a lot to him. But Liverpool didn't make it too difficult for them. They were sloppy, but talk to us about why. And I know we've got some clips of where it didn't quite go right for them, but it just didn't feel very connected, as we've seen Liverpool in the past.
Well, being sloppy can be a lack of concentration, a lack of confidence. I think it's a confidence thing at the moment. They've been behind in games so many times this season, and then they get a bit desperate. The tempo wasn't good in the second half. Glenn and I watching going, they're slow, it's a bit ponderous. And also, there wasn't really, although they'd obviously worked on this new system, it didn't seem that they had a way of getting in behind Brighton it was relying on a bit of genius from Wirtz or Engamoa when he come on. Now, they have got injuries. Ekatike going off was a blow. That's fair enough. But there's still a quality group of players on that pitch who just lacked any cohesion. I couldn't see how they were trying to win the game. And then when they went behind, it became so chaotic. There was so long left in the game. It's fine if you go behind. It's a mistake. They score a goal. Work your way back into it. Build up the pressure. Be probing. Be composed. No, lots of subs. Midfielders getting put. I mean, I thought he took Frimpong off. It wasn't great going forward, but defensively he was looking after Minte quite well.
He did well.
And when he come off, all of a sudden that left side became a problem. Because let's be honest, I'm a big fan of Curtis Jones. He's not a right-back. And all of a sudden he's having to put Gravenberch centre-half because Konate's all over the place again. And I like Konate as well. I mean, when he's at it, he's as good as there is, but he's so up and down. So the players have to take some responsibility for that. It can't all be on slot. But ultimately, you know what it's like. If a big club like Liverpool is struggling and can't get results and can't win football matches and is looking like probably won't get Champions League football if they carry on like that, the manager will take the blame and the brunt of it. But the players some of them need to have a look themselves because it was dire second half.
And the league table tells you everything. Of course, Liverpool remain fifth, but Chelsea have an opportunity to go above them. They just need a draw because of that goal difference. This is now over to Chelsea, and if they get the job done today against Everton, then they're above them.
Well, yeah, I mean, Liverpool are looking towards Everton for a little bit of a favour this afternoon, later on in that mid-afternoon kick-off. But for me, Liverpool, I think the worry was when the game was at 2-1 and when you would expect, like Dan refers to, a big club with a lot of talent on the pitch. Let's not get away from that because they are still a very talented group. They lost their discipline and structure. And they were playing off a weak foundation ultimately, and Brighton picked them apart at times.
He's such a great guy to chat to, isn't he? Does he deserve to be in that England squad, Stephen? And if so, at whose expense?
Well, look, there's a lot of quality players in the country who are also doing well. I think he's definitely deserves to be in the conversation. Of course he does, but I'm sure Thomas has taken into consideration age, form over a longer period of time, if you like. That I think it actually suits Danny maybe to not be in the England squad, and I don't mean that from performance point of view, but when you get to that age, see the international breaks, you can go away, you can rest, you can switch off physically and mentally, and that can help him to play in more games from a Brighton perspective, keep his form high and keep scoring goals and enjoying his career. There's a lot more youthful players at a better age, in the twilight, if you like, who are scoring as well and probably deserve the chance just as much as Danny. But on performances like today, of course, he deserves to be in the conversation.
Do you think Fabian Hurtzler, I'm sure he would never say it, but will be secretly quite pleased that he
100%,
yes, 100%.
Yeah. As a manager, I just, no club manager, you don't really want this. Your focus is your club. You want.
He would never say it, but will be secretly quite pleased that he
100%,
yes, 100%.
Yeah. As a manager, I just, no club manager, you don't really want this. Your focus is your club. You want to play well for Brighton, and as Stevie said, there are times as you get to 35 years old, they have that little break. It's invaluable for the season.
Let's hear from the Brighton boss now, because Fabian Hurtzler is with Jules.
Fabian, that was a brilliant team performance. What did you like most about it?
The intensity we brought on the pitch. I think that was the key today. We pressed intense, we played intense, we had a good energy on the pitch. We created a lot of chances, especially in the second half, and therefore I was pleased how everyone played, how everyone tried to outwork and outrun the opponent. I think that was the key, the intensity today.
4 wins now in 5 matches. What has been the real key to that turnaround?
Managing the key moments better. I think that was it's the only key. I think we played also good football before we had now these kind of results, but we managed the key moments now in these games better. We tried to stay more calm, we tried to stick more to our principles, we tried to not overreact in certain moments, especially today after we concede a goal. We stay calm, we stick to key. I think we played also good football before we had now these kind of results, but we managed the key moments now in these games better. We tried to stay more calm, we tried to stick more to our principles, we tried to not overreact in certain moments, especially today after we concede a goal. We stay calm, we stick to the basic things, and then I see a great team on the pitch. I see a team working for each other, I see a team helping each other, servicing each other, and I think that's very important to win Premier League games.
Do you also see an improvement in a couple of individuals in the team as well, like Gomez and Hinchelwood, who just seem so on their game in these last couple of months?
Yeah, I think you can now emphasize a lot of players. Also, Jan Kuba, I think, is a great example what it means to work hard, not only offensively, also defensively, what it means to be there for the team. And I always say to my team, if you are successful as a team, if you create a good connection in the team, then the individuals shine, and then you get the rewards as the individual. But first of all, you have to perform well as a team, and that's what they're doing at the moment.
Another couple of goals for Danny Welbeck, who didn't make this England squad, but he's got the most.
Needs to be there for the team, and I always say to my team, if you are successful as a team, if you create a good connection in the team, then the individuals shine, and then you get the rewards as the individual. But first of all, you have to perform well as a team, and that's what they're doing at the moment.
Another couple of goals for Danny Welbeck, who didn't make this England squad, but he's got the most goals of any Englishman in the Premier League. Should he, in your eyes, as his club manager, be on that plane this summer?
I think England has a really good German coach, and he will make the right decisions. The only thing what I can say is, for me, it's also important to judge Danny Welbeck how important he is beside the pitch and for a great group togetherness. And I think that can be crucial for a World Cup as well. Not only scoring goals, he's in a brilliant shape, of course, but also being there as a teammate, finding good connections between the teammates, creating a good togetherness. And he's a great connector, so he's so valuable on and off the pitch. And I think he can help every team in the world, including England.
This was a big win for Brighton today. It moves you into 8th in the Premier League table. Now with just 7 Premier League games to go. Those outside hopes of potential Europe this season, do they feel like they're genuinely achievable now?
I think it's very important now to stay humble, to understand where we were, including England.
This was a big win for Brighton today. It moves you into 8th in the Premier League table. Now with just 7 Premier League games to go. Those outside hopes of potential Europe this season, do they feel like they're genuinely achievable now?
I think it's very important now to stay humble, to understand where we were several weeks ago and in which place we have been, to understand why we are now there, where we are, and to keep doing these things, and then we see what happens.
Well done today.
Thanks.
Fabian Hertzler saying Brighton have to stay humble. They've got Burnley next. What a massive incentive, though, Peter, for the run-in, this possibility of getting back to Europe.
Yeah, it is. They've had it here before, and it was fantastic for them. And I think, considering where they were, talking about potential relegation, I mean, the manager's position was under threat at one point. There was a lot of murmurings about that, and they've kicked on. Kicked on, and I did think they were always better than where they were in that situation. They always felt they were a little bit unlucky to lose some of those games, and now they're in the form that they should be, really.
Yeah. Back to Premier League Live, where it's 1 each at the break at the Amex Stadium. Plenty to get into. Let's start with Hugo Ekitike. A bit of a lively start, actually, from James Milner. There was a foul on Sobbott's line, then a coming together with Ekitike. Disappointing to see him go off injured, though, here.
Huge blow. Let's hope it's not long term. I mean, to be fair, although Milner was putting himself about, there's no blame attached here. It's a coming together. It seemed like hip on hip a little bit, maybe a little bit lower on upper thigh, but didn't look that much in it, but he tried to get up and carry on, and obviously he couldn't. He was upset, which generally says to me when I see a player upset with an injury that he thinks it's bad. So fingers crossed he's not. You can see, look at him there. And
looks really emotional there. He looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Don't you think if you're emotional, normally you feel like you've done something pretty bad?
That's a bit more serious.
It looks like an impact injury, doesn't it, from what we can see? But yeah, he might have been carrying something, who knows? But yeah, it's unlike a player to get so emotional over such a soft tissue injury.
So much to talk about from the Brighton goals perspective, from Liverpool's defending and Welbeck's finish, but it came from a throw-in. It was a bit sloppy from Liverpool in this instance.
Yeah, and this wasn't the first time Liverpool have been sloppy in their own final third with the ball comfortably in possession. Just see there, Mamardashvili spins it out, Konate goes under his foot, and it's exactly what you don't want, inviting that pressure from Brighton. And from this point, Brighton pretty easily find a way to put the ball into the box. No one really closing down, and I mean, it's a ball to the back post, but the defending in the middle of the goal is terrible. When you break it down here, we see it a 4v3 for Brighton in the centre of the goal. Kerkez does right, pushing into that near one. Then he has to go and challenge Gomez. Konate and Van Dijk both looking at the ball, have no idea where Danny Welbeck is. That's one uncontested header, and a second uncontested header at the back post. Really poor by the two centre-backs, not passing Danny Welbeck on. And I think Konate's physicality on the back stick there, you want your centre-back to be much stronger. And when you break it down, two relatively easy headers from a Brighton perspective.
Yeah, lack of communication maybe between the two defenders. As from Danny Welbeck's position, look, it's his best goal-scoring season. He's topped it. He's got 11 goals. He'll be delighted to have done it against Liverpool as well.
I'm sure that kind of that rivalry still burns deep in him being a Manchester boy. But yeah, I'll be delighted at his age to be putting up the numbers he's putting up and to break his all-time records goal scoring in the Premier League season. He'll be delighted.
Well, let's talk about Kerkez's goal, but it starts a little bit further back, a recycled goal here from the corner.
Yeah, I mean, Kerkez has had a lot of criticism this season, so I'm quite pleased for him, because by the time it comes to him, you can see the anticipation's great, the timing of the run, and the finish is exquisite. It's not a difficult, it's not an easy chance. It's really difficult technique. Yes, it's a mistake from Dunk. We'll see it better from this angle. There's the curved run, onside, and Dunk, I've seen him do this a lot, calm, but he doesn't see him. And when he gets in there, can he finish? I think Liverpool deserved it, if I'm honest. Thought they started the game reasonably brightly. The first chance they conceded, which was awful defending, they were one down.
It's quite a clever finish there, isn't it?
It's a really clever finish, yeah, and especially with the speed he's running at. And that gave everybody a little boost, just make sure back in the game by half-time. And there's not that much in the game since then, really.
No, I would say Liverpool, have been in the better positions, yes, in and around the Brighton 18-yard box, and probably just been wasteful in their decision-making. And obviously, they've got back into the game through an error.
Quality of crosses hasn't been good either.
Yeah,
set plays from Szoboszlai, which is unusual. Yeah. Frimpong's been in a couple of times, poor crosses. That final third, we talked about it before the show, Liverpool's creativity and players in the final third has got to improve.
OK, well, on that note, let's take a break, after which we'll head straight back